So this is gonna be a long one. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I have to be sort of quiet because everybody's asleep. But I made a video or a recording a while back of myself reading an excerpt from David Sedaris' Santaland Diaries, which is become a one-man play. Usually I get to go see it, but I didn't get to this year, so I decided to read it for myself, but I can't get it to upload, so I'm going to read that, at least part of it, and not the part I recorded in case I can get it to upload. It's Christmas Eve officially. It's 3:05 a.m. In the early hours, and I just wanted to show you that I'm a pretty bad guy because I already got my coal. I want it in Dirty Santa for my family, so it's got some pretty sexy design. But anyway, so here we go. Hopefully it'll record the whole excerpt, and hopefully I won't wake anybody up. Alright. Is this fancy enough for you? Because I couldn't find it. Really couldn't find it. Alright, this is just irritating. Here we go. I was in a coffee shop looking through the want ads when I read Macy's Herald Square, the largest store in the world, has big opportunities for outgoing, fun-loving people of all shapes and sizes who want more than just a holiday job. Working as an elf in Macy's Santalands means being at the center of the excitement. I circled the ad and then I laughed out loud at the thought of it. The man seated next to me turned on his stool, checking to see if I was a lunatic. I continued to laugh, quietly. Yesterday, I applied for a job at UPS. They're hiring drivers, helping with the upcoming Christmas season, and I went to their headquarters filled with hope. In a line with 300 other men and women, my hope diminished. During the brief interview, I was asked why I wanted to work for UPS, and I answered that I wanted to work UPS because I like the brown uniforms. What did they expect me to say? I'd like to work for UPS because, in my opinion, it's an opportunity to showcase my substantial leadership skills, one of the finest private delivery companies in this country I've seen since the Pony Express. I said I liked the uniforms, and the UPS interviewer turned my application face down on my desk and said, "Give me a break." I came home this afternoon and checked the machine for a message from UPS, but the only message I got was the company that holds my student loans, Sallie Mae. Sallie Mae sounds like a naive and barefooted hillbilly girl, but in fact they are ruthless and aggressive and conglomeration of bullies located in a tall brick building somewhere in Kansas. I pictured to be the tallest building in that state, and I've decided that they hire their employees straight out of prison. It scares me. The woman at Macy's asked, "Would you be interested in a full-time elf or an evening or weekend elf?" I said, "Full-time elf. I have an appointment next Wednesday at noon." I am a 33-year-old man applying for a job as an elf. I often see people on the streets dressed as objects and handing out leaflets. I tend to avoid leaflets, but it breaks my heart to see a grown man dressed as a taco. So if there's a costume involved, I tend not only to accept the leaflet, but accept it graciously so, saying, "Thank you so much," and thinking, "You poor, pathetic son of a bitch. I don't know what you have, but I sure as hell hope I never catch it." This afternoon on Lexington Avenue, I accepted a leaflet from a man dressed as a camcorder. Hot dogs, peanuts, tacos, video cameras, these things make me sad because they don't fit in on the streets. In a parade maybe, but not on the streets. I figure at least as an elf, I will have a place. I'll be in Santa's village with all the other elves. We will reside in a fluffy wonderland surrounded by candy canes and gingerbread snacks. It won't be quite as sad as standing out on some street corner dressed as a French fry. I'm trying to look on the bright side. I arrived in New York 3 weeks ago with high hopes, hopes that have been challenged. In my imagination, I'd go straight from Penn Station to the offices of One Life to Live, or I would drop off my bags and spruce up before heading off for drinks with Cord Roberts and Victoria Buchanan, the show's greatest stars. We sit in a plush booth at a Tony Cocktail Lounge where my new celebrity friends will lift their frosty glasses and say, "A toast to David Sedaris, the best writer this show's ever had." And I'd say, "You guys, cut it out." It was my plan to act modest. People at the surrounding tables would stare at us, whispering, Isn't that? I might be distracted by their enthusiasm, but before we began, they would lay her hand upon mine and tell me that I'd better get used to being the center of attention. But instead, I'm applying for a job as an elf. Even worse than applying is the very real possibility that I will not be hired, that I couldn't even find work as an elf. That's when you know you are a failure. This afternoon, I sat in the 8th floor Santaland office, and I was told, "Congratulations, Mr. Sedaris, you are an elf." In order to become an elf, I filled out 10 pages worth of forms, took multiple choice personality tests, underwent 2 interviews, submitted a urine for a drug test. The first interview was general, designed to eliminate any obvious sociopaths. During the second interview, we were asked why we wanted to be elves. This is always a problem question. I listened as the woman ahead of me, a former waitress, answered the question, saying, "I really want to be an elf because I think it's about acting. And before this, I worked in a restaurant, which was run by a really wonderful woman who had a dream to open a restaurant. And it made me realize it's really, really important. Important to have a dream." Everything this woman said, every phrase and sentence was punctuated with a question mark, and the interviewer never raised an eyebrow. When it was my turn, I explained that I wanted to be an elf because, well, it was one of the most frightening career opportunities I'd ever come across. The interviewer raised her face from my application form and said, "And?" I'm certain that I failed the drug test. My urine had roaches and stem floating in it, but they still hired me because, well, I'm short. 5 feet 5 inches. Almost everyone they hired is short. One is a dwarf. After the second interview, I was brought to the manager's office where I was shown the floor plan. On a busy day, 22,000 people come and visit Santa, and I was told that it is an elf's not to remain merry in the face of torment and adversity. I promise to keep that in mind. I spent my 8-hour day with 50 elves, one perky, well-meaning instructor, in an enormous Macy's classroom, the walls of which were lined with NCR 2152s. A 2152, I have come to understand, is a cash register. The class was broken up into study groups and given assignments. My group included several returning elves and a few experienced cashiers who tried helping me by saying things like, "Don't you even know your personal ID code? Jesus, I had mine memorized by 10 o'clock. Everything about the cash register intimidates me. Each procedure involves a series of codes, separate numbers for cash, checks, each type of credit card. The term void has gained prominence as the filthiest 4-letter word in my vocabulary. Voids are a nightmare of paperwork and coded numbers, everything produced in triplicate and initiated by the employee and his supervisor. Leaving the building tonight, I could not shake the mental picture of myself being stoned to death by relentless, angry customers, their nerves shattered by my complete lack of skill. I tell myself that I will simply pry open my register and accept anything they want to give me. Beads, cash, watches, whatever. I'll negotiate and swamp. I'll stop their credit cards through the masher, right? Nice knowing you, along with the bottom of the slip, and leave it at that. All we sell in Santaland are photos. People sit on Santa's lap and pose for a picture. The photo elf hands them a slip of paper with a printed number along the top. The form is filled out by another elf, and the picture arrives by mail weeks later. So really, all we sell is the idea picture. One idea picture costs $9. 3 ideas cost $18. My worst nightmare involves 22,000 people a day standing before my register. I won't always be a cashier, just once in a while. The worst part is that after I've accumulated $300, I have to remove $200, fill out a half dozen forms, and run the envelope of cash to a cash drop in the china department or the vault on the balcony above the first floor. I'm not allowed to change my clothes beforehand. I have to go dressed as an elf. An elf in Santaland is one thing, an elf in sportswear is something else altogether. This afternoon we were given presentations and speech in a windowless conference room crowded with desks and plastic chairs. We were told during the second week of December Santaland is a host to Operation Special Children, at which time poor children receive free gifts donated by the store. There is another morning set aside for terribly sick and deformed children. On that day, it is an elf's job to greet the child at the magic tree and jog back to the house to brace our Santa. The next one is missing a nose, or Crystal has third-degree burns covering 90% of her body. Missing a nose. With these children, Santa has to be especially careful not to ask, "And what would you like for Christmas?" We were giving a lecture by the chief of security, who told us that Macy's Herald Square suffers millions of dollars worth of employee theft per year. As a result, the store treats its employees the way it would treat a felon with a long criminal record. Cash rewards are offered for turning people in, and our bags are searched every time we leave the store. We were shown videotapes which were former elves hang their head in rue the day they ever thought to steal that leather jacket. The actors faced the camera and explained how their arrests ruined their friendships, family life, and ultimately their future. One fellow stared at his hands and sighed. "There's no way I'm going to be admitted into law school. Not now. Not after what I've done. Nope. No way." He paused and shook his head unpleasantly at the idea of the memory. "Oh man, not after this. No way." A lonely, reflective girl sat in a coffee shop, considered her empty cup, and moaned, "I remember going out after work with all my Macy's friends. God, those were good times. I love those people." She stared off into space for a few minutes before continuing. "Well, needless to say, those friends aren't calling anymore. This time, I've really messed up. Why did I do it? Why?" Macy's has 2 jail cells on the balcony floor and apprehends 3,000 shoplifters a year. We were told to keep an eye out for pickpockets in Santaland. Interpreters to the deaf came and taught us to sign, "Merry Christmas, I am Santa's helper." Please don't kill me because I don't know that ASL right now. They told us to speak as we sign and use bold, clear voices and bright facial expressions. They taught us to say, "You are a very pretty boy girl. I love you. Do you want a surprise?" My sister Amy lives above a deaf girl and has learned quite a bit of sign language. She taught me how to say, she taught some to me, and so now I'm able to say, "Santa has a tumor in his head the size of an olive. Maybe it'll go away tomorrow, but I don't think so." This morning we were lectured by the Santaland managers and presented with a Xerox booklet of regulations entitled The Elfin Guide. Most of the managers are former elves who have worked their way up the candy cane ladder, but retain vivid memories of their days in uniform. They closed the meeting saying, "I want you to remember that even if you are assigned photo elf on a busy weekend, you are not Santa's slave." In the afternoon we were giving a tour of Santaland, which really is something. It's beautiful, a real wonderland with 10,000 sparkling lights, false snow, train sets, bridges, decorated trees, mechanical penguins and polar bears, and really tall canes. Really tall if you're an elf. One enters and travels through a maze, a path which takes you on one festive environment to another. The path ends at the magic tree. The tree is supposed to resemble a complex system of roots, but instead it looks like a scale model of the human intestinal tract. Once you pass the magic tree, the light dims and an elf guides you to Santa's house. The houses are cozy and intimate, laden with toys. You exit Santa's house and you are met with a line of cash registers. We traveled the path a second time and were given code names for various posts, such as the Vomit Corner, a mirrored wall near the magic tree where nauseous children tend to surrender the contents of their stomachs. When someone vomits, the nearest elf is supposed to yell, "Vamoose," which is the name of the janitorial product used by the store. We are taken to the "Oh my God" corner, a position near the escalator where people arrive and see a long line. They exclaim, "Oh my God!" And it's an elf's job to calm them down and explain it will take no more than an hour to see Santa. On any given day, you can be an entrance elf, a watercolor elf, a bridge elf, a train elf, a maze elf, island elf, magic window elf, emergency exit elf, counter elf, magic tree elf, pointer elf, Santa elf, photo elf, usher elf, cash register elf, runner elf, or exit elf. We were given a demonstration of the various positions in action performed by returning elves who were so animated and relentlessly cheerful that it was embarrassing me to walk past them. I don't know how I could look somebody in the eye and exclaim, "Oh my goodness, I think I see Santa," or "Can you close your eyes and make a very special Christmas wish?" Everything these elves say had an exclamation point at the end of it. It makes one's mouth hurt to speak with such forced merriment. I feel cornered when someone talks to me this way. Doesn't everyone? I prefer to be frank with the children. I'm much more likely to say, "You must be exhausted," or, "I know a lot of people who would kill for that waistline of yours." I'm afraid that I won't be able to provide the grinding enthusiasm that Santa is asking for. I think I'll be a low-key sort of elf. Today was elf dress rehearsal. The lockers and dress rooms are located on the 8th floor, directly behind Santaland. Elves have gotten to know each other over the past 4 days in training, but once we took off our clothes and put on the uniforms, everything changed. The woman in charge of costuming assigned us our outfits and gave us a lecture on keeping things clean. She held up the calendar and said, "Ladies, you know what this is. Use it. I've scraped enough blood out of the crotches of elf knickers to last me the rest of my life. And don't tell me I don't wear underpants. I'm a dancer." "You're not a dancer. If you were a dancer, you wouldn't be here. You're an elf, and you're going to wear panties like an elf." My costume is green. I wear velvet knickers, a yellow turtleneck, a forest green velvet smock, and a perky stocking cap decorated with spangles. This is my work uniform. My elf name is Crumpet. We were allowed to choose our own names and given permission to change them according to our outlook on the snowy world. There you go. That's my excerpt from David Sedaris, The Santaland Diaries. It's excellent as a play and one-man show, and I hope I did it some justice, brought you some holiday cheer, and maybe made you smile because, well, I already got cold for Christmas, so it can't be much worse. It's longer than I expected, but not as long as the first reading I did, which was about 22 minutes. I just found a different piece that was a little shorter, and actually a little closer to the original text. Yeah, so let's make it the rainbow one. So, with that being said, I hope you all have a very gay and merry holiday. No matter what you're celebrating, be it Hanukkah, which it's already passed, but happy Hanukkah, winter solstice, Christmas, Kwanzaa. I'm just here and my family gives me presents, atheists, whatever. Yeah, no matter what, I just hope you take time to reflect on all the wonderful things that are in your life, even if they seem small in comparison. And if things are rough and you're sick or you're struggling, I hope you can still do those things, because just because you're sick doesn't mean it can take away your humanity, and it doesn't mean it can take away your joy. So don't let it. My favorite quote that I told one of my best friends, who's my roommate, when things were the worst, annoy them, survive, and even better, thrive. So I hope you all find a way to thrive this holiday. I hope that you are loved and liked, and that your days are filled with joy and happiness, and yeah, that you'll try to spread that to others, because if I've learned anything from teaching or this life, it's that you can't shine light into other people's world without having some shine back into your own. And that on many days has kept me going, the light of others, including you guys. So do that as much as you can, and do this when you have to. Take care and be well. See you guys soon.